I think I fit into Middlebury pretty well. I don't think there's been a problem with my ethnicity, my background, or who I am in fitting in at Middlebury in the past 2 years. Middlebury might be a kind of racially not so diverse place, but I feel like the diversity of opinions and the kind of openness of everyone at Middlebury is pretty great, and so I haven't had that as a problem. As for what groups I fit into on campus, I think as a Iranian, I fit into a lot of different groups. I don't have to limit myself to any one or two, so I guess I'm really just free to talk to whom I choose, hang out with whoever I choose. There's no real barriers between me and others based on my race or my class or whatever. It's definitely hard. It's only weird looking in the news and seeing like that the country my mom's from and a lot of like the people I'm related to are being attacked by the media, the government sometimes, just like a lot of the people in America too. So it is tough having that pretty common notion in America against Middle Easterners, against Muslims, against Iranians. I guess it kind of makes me want to be a better symbol of Iranians and Middle Eastern people and whatever the Oriental thing means. Kind of share my culture as much as I can with people. And like Iranian culture is pretty rich and pretty beautiful in my opinion, and I try to like share that with as many people as I can so that people can get an idea of it that's not maybe the idea that they're getting from the government or from media or from kind of more prejudiced racial or racist opinions. So I guess like that's kind of like my role as a Middle Eastern person on campus. I don't have a problem being a minority on campus. There aren't really any spaces on campus I don't feel comfortable in. In fact, if anything, I feel more comfortable that I'm often the only person who is Iranian or Persian in whatever space I'm occupying, and kind of gives me the opportunity to be unique and be proud of who I am and where I come from. So being a minority on campus is actually a really kind of gratifying and interesting experience for me. On a campus where a lot of people are white or other minorities, but specifically not Iranian. I guess like one of the easiest and like most visible or like tangible, I guess, markers of being like Iranian or like Oriental or a foreigner or just like whatever is the language, and so like the ability to speak that language conversationally with my mother, my parents, anyone I met who was Iranian was always like a huge pride thing for me. That was part of my identity. That was pretty strong, and I feel like a lot of people, like if you're like mixed race and you like kind of like half speak one of the languages, or like you can get by, or you speak like a few phrases here and there but not well. I just felt like that was like not gonna cut it for me basically, and so I felt like putting effort in speaking languages, and like I've spoken a lot of languages during my life, so like I feel like I have like a maybe a better ability at like learning languages, but I think just like putting the effort into learning how to speak well was like a kind of a cultural pride thing. Yeah, I do think that I identify more with being Persian than being white. I have a brother who kind of his features are much more white than mine are. I kind of inherited a lot of my mom's Middle Eastern features, like dark hair, facial hair, kind of like more olive skin, and my brother's a lot more like lighter hair, paler skin. And so I think both of us kind of growing up had to choose to be like either one or the other, but kind of just like do, like I think I do steer more towards kind of being proud of being Persian, even though I'm only half, because it is like this kind of uniqueness that I have, that I can be proud of, and it is weird when I have like a Scottish last name, and you know, I'm not allowed to have an Iranian passport because according to the laws in Iran, your father has to be Iranian for you to be a citizen, so I can't officially be a citizen. But it kind of like pushes me to be more interested, more proud of my heritage. Like I learned Farsi as a kid, and a lot of Iranian kids do, but I think worked harder than a lot of maybe kids do who are Persian, because just to like fit more into this like Iranian norm. I like put a Persian flag on my wall that I don't think a lot of Persian kids do, but it's like a lot of just like pride things. And I knew coming to Middlebury, like I at least hope no one's gonna be mad about my flag or my identity or anything. So I feel like I'm pretty comfortable expressing my Persian side, and if people ask, I'll say that I'm mixed race, but kind of off the bat, a lot of people will assume that like he's full Persian, and I don't usually like deny them. Orientalism to me is just like that pride in kind of being, having some kind of uniqueness, whether it be, I mean, for me it's all is positive. Proud to be Oriental, or whatever that means. My mom's a great cook, so I've grown up with really good Iranian food all my life. I remember as a kid when I would go to school in like elementary school, and people would like come with their bag lunches of like PB&Js, and that come with like a little Tupperware of like rice and kebabs, and people would think it's like super weird, and I was like, no, it's just normal. It's like just like really good food that my mom makes for me sometimes. So like the growing up with the idea that like, I guess not a lot of people I knew growing up spoke a second language at home or had a kind of ethnic identity, and so that kind of made me more proud of that, being I guess like different or unique, but not in a bad way, in like a pretty special way to me. And then coming here to Middlebury, it's like a much more diverse place than I grew up in, which is maybe surprising. But the idea that I can kind of talk to other people of my heritage, people who speak the same language as I do, that I can kind of put a Persian flag on my wall and people can ask me what it is, and I can tell them a little bit about it, or that I like drink Persian tea a lot and people ask me about my tea choices. So I mean, there's like just little things that kind of stick out, that like tell people like, oh, I'm Persian, but I guess like I'm not like a different person than everyone else. I think my favorite places on campus are the library and Bi Hall. I guess I spent a lot of time in Bi Hall being a science major, so I just have a pretty good connection with that place, and I know a lot of people who
study there because that's usually all the same people I've taken science classes with. And the library is just a place where I get to see a lot of people studying who I don't often see around campus, and it's kind of a big congregation spot for everyone to kind of forget what to do outside of class and just kind of tucker down and just get to work. And I guess it's just a cool place to see people and be together in your work, I suppose. Few times now. I was 5 the first time. I went with my brother and my mom, and then a lot of my extended family all went together. I went one time when I was 11 with my brother and my mom. And then last time I went was my junior year of high school, so I was 17, I think, or 16, somewhere in there. And just my mom, so my brother didn't go. It's a pretty hard process, actually, since my brother and I aren't citizens, to get visas. And actually in the past few months it's getting a little harder for us to go, so I have to probably wait a few years now until some political tensions have died down to go there. But the times that I've been there, the 3 times, it's like a very I don't know, like gratifying experience to kind of see where my mom was from, where she grew up. Like we always go to like those parts of Tehran where she's from to see where she grew up and how, I mean, it's so different from where I've grown up. I mean, a city of 14 million people that's like bustling with culture versus like Seattle, Washington, which is like a nice town but not very like culturally rich, except for like hipsters and grungy coffee drinkers. And it's like the ability to kind of see just this very strong culture and fit in also. Like people there won't ask questions about what I look like. I mean, different from my brother, obviously. A lot of people like kind of come up to him and talk to him in English, in their broken English, and he'll have to like bring them back to Farsi and like get surprised. But the ability for me to be somewhere where I fit in, like with my phenotype, maybe not like I have like a little bit of an accent when I speak Farsi, and so people can kind of tell that either I'm American or like I'm from some like weird village in Iran where like we have a kind of weird twang. But people like usually just think I'm some random Iranian kid with a mustache, and there's no problem there. So it's a kind of funny one about my mustache. I started growing a mustache and a beard kind of beginning of sophomore year as part of No Trade November, and then kind of adopted the look as kind of part of a Persian thing. It's kind of a funny stereotype back in the 1780s of these Iranian soccer players and pop singers and everything who all walk around with these big bushy black mustaches, and I kind of wanted to fit that stereotype a little bit as like a kind of joke, but also as a serious embracing of not like a negative stereotype at all. So for most of this year I've had a mustache, and I've kind of taken the beard off, just a mustache, and a lot of people think it's cool. Some people think it's kind of goofy looking. My mom's not a huge fan because she thinks I look a little too old and a little too Persian for her taste, which is ironic. But I kind of keep it on as much as I can for just another symbol that, not a lot of people do that these days, the mustache thing, and it's just kind of marker of being even more Middle Eastern, I guess. That's the reason I have a tattoo with Persian writing on it. It's just a kind of appearance-wise a pretty easy marker, and a kind of just like a sign that I haven't forgotten about my identity, and it's for everyone to see and for everyone to
ask about if they want to. So yeah.
Kind of seeing where my mother and her family and like this whole like culture behind me that I'm usually like reading in books or eating food at home, or my mom telling me stories to kind of like just feel it. It's pretty special.
When you hear rhetoric against people and of your nationality, ethnicity, religion, what you look like, it does hurt. And knowing that kind of rhetoric is pretty common in the government, in the media, in the way that a lot of people in America think against Iranians, against Middle Easterners and Muslims. It's hurtful, and it's scary, obviously, and a lot of my family who is from that part of the world, I'm scared for them coming to America, leaving America, being able to visit, and so that's terrifying. But as a person from that part of the world, I guess it's kind of my duty to be a better spokesman for that culture, kind of share as much as I can with people here who might be more ignorant or just naive, I guess, to share with them how rich my culture is, how non-harmful and gentle my culture, my pride, and my people are. And so, yeah, that's kind of how that rhetoric, that's a dangerous and scary rhetoric, kind of forces me to kind of show off the better aspects of my culture to anyone who can listen.
With the very, very few people, maybe like one or two people I found that I can speak Farsi with, that is such a relief to find someone, because back home, I mean, I can speak Farsi all the time because my mom's home, my brother's around usually when he's not at work, and I have a lot of family back home too, so there's a lot of Farsi in my life. But here at college, it's kind of like I'm kind of seclude myself from a part of my culture, which is the language, which is pretty important to me. So I'll call my mom often enough, like once every 2 weeks or so, to kind of talk, and we can both speak Farsi a little bit to each other. But I think having people on campus that I can kind of share that linguistic uniqueness with is pretty special for me. And I mean, it is hard with a language as like kind of rare as Farsi to find people, but there's a professor here, there's an Afghan student who speaks Farsi as well, so it's not difficult. And then there are like associations like the Muslim Student Association that I am like off and on a part of, that I can go hang out with if I want to kind of converse with people of like similar ethnic and cultural identities as myself.
I'm mostly comfortable speaking Farsi in public. I don't often find that a problem. I'm also not always speaking Farsi in public because it's not the most common language, and there aren't so many people who can readily speak that language with me. I guess places I'm not comfortable speaking Farsi, as obviously with the way I look and the way the language sounds. With all the kind of hatred and Islamophobia and kind of Middle Eastern phobia that's going around, I feel like sometimes in big cities, in crowded places, in airports and airplanes, where you see on the news every day some Muslim guy gets kicked off a plane or something, or some Muslim guy in some crowded area has to get detained for doing something absolutely harmless. So obviously there are times where no matter how proud I am of my heritage and my language, it's just not safe to be speaking that language and to be proud of that. And it's unfortunate for me and everyone of my ethnicity, but that's just how it is. But otherwise, on campus, at home, I'm always comfortable speaking Farsi. I'll speak Farsi to my mom on the phone, and people will come and ask me afterwards what language that was, and I'm always glad to kind of share with them a little bit of insight onto my heritage and my language. So honestly, around campus, it's a great thing.